Okay. So today I'm going to talk about repair and restoration of heritage structures. I have tried to include a glimpse of some of the case studies we were involved in with respect to this. This is not very much about structural safety consideration because that comes in a later part of reconstruction of the whole structure. This is more about repair and restoration, the structures which are not fully dilapidated but partially. Okay, this is an introductory slide. I'll be giving you a brief about the significance of this topic. I'm sure that we all are very proud of India's huge cultural heritage. We even get to hear this a lot from other countries also. India owns actually 3,700 monuments, well documented and protected by Government of India. Under Archaeological Survey of India, we call it ASI, and it includes 32 now. 32 UNESCO identified edifices also as World Heritage Site, and many thousands are under state governments, and many thousands are actually undocumented, not in any list, and are unprotected. So they are just improving the list slowly. Still, many are not even coming into the list. And most of these structures are in the verge of damage. They require repair, or some are already repaired and they are getting deteriorated again, and we don't know the cause of their constant need of repair also. Mostly our structures are masonry structures, or we have monolithic structures also, but mostly made of either different kinds of stones, fire clay bricks, and lime mortar. The speciality with all of these materials are they possess the least carbon or energy footprint, and they have the maximum longevity if well preserved. So we do want to preserve them. However, coming to this repair and restoration, when we are repairing, in the Western countries are having an ideology of minimal intervention. They do well research, they do an intervention, they don't want to do it again in some 50 or 100 years. But in India, we do not have any scientific systematic approach for historic structures. We go for a reactive approach. It means when we encounter a problem, we are trying to find some solution for that. We go for concealed repairs also. Most of you have witnessed the beautiful heritage structures are being cement plastered. It is not only ruining the historic value of the structure, but also putting additional stresses due to the debt load. And this will lead to incompatibility. Cement mortar will not be compatible with the ancient lime mortar, and this will enhance further deterioration in future. This will give a need for very frequent future intervention. Like if we are not treating the cause of corrosion in concrete and we are doing some patch repair there, what will cause macrocell corrosion will be enabled, right? It will cause another corrosion in a very few years, the same thing. So to prevent this condition, we need a very systematic approach of conservation and restoration procedures in India. We want to make a standard, we want to make standard procedures. For that, we have to first understand the materials. We do not know anything about the materials. They are not documented. They are not like concrete mixers. We do not know how they made the ancient bricks. It's definitely not like the new bricks. They are having completely different properties. They are having very high densities, but very high porosities. So it is confusing. We do not know the material properties. We do not know what kind of processes they have undergone in the past in all these 2,000 years. And the environment has changed. So as a starting step, the first thing in research should be documenting or characterizing all the Indian ancient materials, their performances based upon their material properties. And then we should come up with, like, we should study the materials first, we should say the phenomenon first, then we should draw the durability approach, and then come up with a standard procedure for everything. Out of many deterioration mechanisms in India, due to the very large coastal stretch, we have around 3,000 kilometers. So due to the very large coastal stretch, soil deterioration is the most crucial mechanism of damage in all the structures. So the first figure is actually the temple is Mahabalipuram Shore Temple, which is in Chennai. And the second is Tarangambadi Danish Fort, which is also in Tamil Nadu. They were part of my research, so I had these pictures in hand. So the zoom pictures show examples of salt damage in stone as well as brick. So both the materials are equally viable to salt damage. For sodium chloride, sodium sulfate, so the damage conditions process varies for different salts. For any conservation process, there are different steps: preservation, maintenance, restoration, and reconstruction based on the severity of damage of that structure. If some structure is not at all damaged, we go for preservation, and some structures it's only maintenance. Maintenance is protecting the structure from moisture or any kind of foreign exposure. So it normally deals with providing painting or some kind of coating, providing a shield, like that. And restoration is, again, it's the severity of damage is more than in case of maintenance. We may have to replace some part of the structure with new material, like one column is totally damaged, or in a masonry wall some of the bricks are completely deteriorated. We want to replace them. While replacement, the most concerned issue is compatibility. When we are replacing a new brick to an old wall, that brick should be having the same properties as the old wall, not only with respect to color, shape, texture, but also with respect to the material properties, especially the transport properties, how the pore structure is linked. So what do you think will happen if that is not matched? The water movement between the existing and new material will be different. Water can get stuck inside somewhere without escaping, because most of the ancient materials are porous masonry units. They need to breathe. Breathability is an essential condition. Since they are very porous, we don't want to, that's why cement plaster also would do harm to this material. We don't want to block their path at any cost. The air and water should move in and out of these materials. If we are blocking it by some means, water is getting inside, trapped, it's not able to escape, and at some place it is going to create pressure on the pore walls of the material. It will initiate cracks. Reconstruction is the place we talk about structural safety of the complete structure. There we should go for structural analysis and design, but in this case, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, this is.
Participants, like, kindly mute yourself. No, like we hearing some disturbances.
Thank you, Jaswas, for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so here I just highlighted what is the problem with maintenance. For maintenance, when we are providing a coating, we should clean the material first. Again, the cleaning should not damage the existing material, because if it's an ancient brick having very low strength, we cannot go for pressure water cleaning. So we should be choosing things wisely there. While restoration, the problem is we do not know the existing material property. There are uncertainties. We have to test the existing material properties and choose a material which is very likely compatible to that material.